Hello, my name is Brenda Price. I am the Associate State Director at AARP Michigan. We are so happy to have you today. We have a very informative topic to discuss. It is valuable to you and your family. If there are others that you'd like to see this presentation now, just share it with them on Facebook. The title today is Protect Yourself and Your Family from Fraud and Financial Exploitation. That's a very important topic. At AARP, we are very concerned about you being able to be financially secure and be free from scams and fraud. So, we're going to provide some information today on what you need to know. Our mission at AARP is to empower people to choose how they live as they age. And you can do this more successfully if you are free from financial exploitation. And we want to make sure of that today and give you some very valuable information. So get your notepads out, any pencils or forms or recordings, however you like to record this data. You can also see it again later today because it will be posted on Facebook and YouTube. So we are going to move forward so that you can learn more information. We have a very special guest with us today. And she is going to share some information with you that she can give to you directly and services that you can use one on one with her. In the absence of that, AARP also has tools and calculators for you and your family to use at our webpage, aarp.org, aarp.org/tools. You will find tools and calculators that will help you with your financial literacy, health savings, long term care calculations, how to do your home budget, your 1040 tax form, investment property versus home ownership and rent. This is financial information that is valuable to you and can be of assistance to you so that you can become financially secure if you're not already, or to sustain that financial security. But in the process of doing all of those things, you can also become vulnerable to people who have scams that want to go after your financial security. So please visit our webpage at any hour of the day. You can go there. Today, we have a very special guest with us from Wayne State University, from the Wayne State SAFE program. Her name is LaToya Hall. She is the director of that program. She is going to share some very valuable information with you on financial exploitation, scams, etc. And she provides direct services. And that is why we find it just a joy to have LaToya with us. The work that she does is one on one with you. And she will give you information and her contact later in this program. LaToya, it's very nice to have you today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Brenda. It's great to be here.
Great. I look forward to your information, and I am going to move aside and let you present. Thank you.
So, good morning. As Brenda mentioned, my name is LaToya Hall, and I'm the director of the Successful Aging Through Financial Empowerment, the SAFE program. We're housed at the Wayne State University Institute of Gerontology. At SAFE, we have a few things that we do and a few areas that we focus on. Our first and number one priority, and why the program was created, was to help older adults to recover financially and emotionally after being victimized by financial scams or identity theft. That's that one on one service that Brenda was talking about. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we move on. We also educate older adults and the people who care for them about scamming and identity theft techniques, how to identify those techniques, how to protect yourselves and the one you love, and how to get things reported when something does occur. And then we also offer, as I mentioned earlier, that one on one support and education. We also offer that to caregivers on financial management issues for themselves or for the ones they provide care for. I want to add that all of our one on one services are no cost. At this point in time, we're still doing phone and virtual one on one coaching or advocacy just in relation to COVID. So, the first thing we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about, we hear a lot that older adults are targets of scams and identity theft. And we wonder, why people target people of a certain age group a little bit more. So, this isn't to say that older adults are the only one being victimized by scammers or identity thieves, but they may be targeted a little bit more, and they may be a little bit more of attractive targets to individuals looking to take advantage. So, we're going to talk about some of those reasons. The first reason I have on here, when we think about older adults as targets, is scammers think that they have money. So generally, we talk about, when we think about targets, we talk about vulnerabilities. But here, this actually rests on some strengths that older adults have. Scammers think that older adults have money because there's usually a regular income coming into that home. So we all know that most people over 65 get at least a social security check once a month. And so we all know that even though that may not be enough money or a lot of money, to scammers, it represents something coming into that home pretty regularly. And then older adults also usually have assets. So just thinking about it, they're at the stage in life where they have, possibly put some things aside for retirement. They may have some investments, 401k savings. A lot of them have a lot of equity in their home if those homes aren't paid off. Older adults generally tend to have better credit. Those are all assets, and scammers are after those assets. You can think of assets, even though it's not um, tangible paper money, you can think of that as money. And then there are also some vulnerabilities that make older adults more attractive target. Anytime you have a high level of social isolation, it makes as a good target for a scammer or identity thief. When someone is all alone, socially isolated, don't really talk to a lot of people or see people on a regular basis, it's a little bit easier to take advantage of that person. A couple of reasons: they don't have anyone to sound things off of or go to for advice. Someone tells them about an investment or some offer, and they don't generally have someone to go to and say, hey, what do you think about this, that may recognize some red flags and raise some doubts. And then there's also the issue of, a lot of times when people who are socially isolated are taken advantage of, they don't have anyone to turn to for assistance or help. The next one is cognitive impairment. So, what we know about cognitive impairments and financial exploitation is they kind of go hand in hand. That, people having cognitive impairments, they're a lot more vulnerable to being exploited. So there is, within cognition changes and cognitive impairments, there's a thing that we call instrumental activities of daily living. So these are the things that, we do every day just to manage and get by, like cooking our meals, cleaning our home, um, getting ourselves dressed. Well, another one of those is managing your finances. And what we find out very early in cognitive impairments or cognitive decline is that people begin to have mishaps with instrumental activities of daily living. So if people are in the very early stages of cognitive decline, sometimes they have financial management issues, and it makes them a little more vulnerable, or a little more attractive as a target to a scammer. Unfamiliar with the latest technology, that's a huge one, especially right now in the time that we're living in, due to, some of the need to kind of like keep ourselves physically distanced from a lot of people and a lot of things. A lot more people are turning to being online to do things and take care of things, and even to socialize. And so people who are online a lot for the first time or don't know a lot about the technology and how it works, people come in and they will take advantage of that and use that as an opportunity to exploit someone. One example I have is that, someone came to me and they said, I recently got on Facebook, and they said a very famous person came in their Facebook inbox and asked them for a $500 donation to support a school that they were building in Africa. This person really didn't understand that just because you saw that picture and that profile had that person's name, that it could be anyone behind that profile. I showed them how to screenshot a picture and crop it, and anyone can set up a fake profile using a picture. And they were in awe. They didn't really understand that technology could work to do these things. So you really have to be careful with the new technology. And then there's also scammers and people who are looking to exploit older adults. They know that older adults are more unlikely to report being the victim of a scam or financial exploitation. With identity theft, this may not always be true, but with scams and financial exploitation, definitely true. Older adults are just less likely to report for a myriad of reasons. Sometimes it's embarrassment, sometimes it's shame, sometimes they don't want, they're in fear that they're going to lose their financial freedom if someone in their family or someone finds out that they've been exploited or victimized. So they don't report for that reasons. But there's a lot of reasons that older adults don't report being victimized. So I do want to talk about some of the effects of being financially exploited because this is important. So we have this nice picture here of this lady. She's on the phone, and there's some younger person behind her, probably a family member, who's definitely exploiting her. And in this picture, she's just going in her purse and stealing money. Sometimes people think it's harmless, that they're just taking the money, but there are a lot of effects, psychological and economic, of being a victim of financial exploitation for older people. And so one of the first ones that we notice a lot is they lose trust in other people. And, we see this a lot in victims of all types of crimes. Well, when someone is a victim of something like this, they don't trust anyone anymore. Sometimes I'll get people who are referred to me for one-on-one services, and I can tell they don't trust me, and that's okay. I have to work to gain their trust and build that trust within the relationship between us. But it's easy to lose trust in people when you've been taken advantage of this way. A lot of people have a loss of their feelings of security. They don't feel secure anymore. They don't feel secure in letting people help them. They don't feel secure in their abilities. Um, we see that a lot. We also see higher levels of depression, stress, and anxiety in individuals who are victims of scams and identity theft or financial exploitation in general. Okay. People have feelings of fear, shame, guilt, anger, self doubt, remorse, worthlessness. I frequently talk to people, after they've been exploited and I'm coming in to help them. And they'll say, I was so dumb to let this happen. And I have to do a lot of reassuring of them that, you're not dumb, you're not worthless. People use fear tactics to carry out exploitation on people. One of the best one being, you owe this money. If you don't pay it, you're going to go to jail or you're going to have utilities shut off. So that's one. Another one that we see is financial destitution. This is very important with older adults, this financial destitution as an effect of financial exploitation, because it leads us to this inability to replace lost assets through employment. And so I use this as an example a lot. So someone in their 40s, say they, lose everything, they lose all of their retirement savings to being a victim of a scam or something. They give the scammer all of the savings that they have. Well, they roughly have 20, 25 years to replace some, if not all of that money. Think of someone who's 78 years old and lose the last of the $30,000 of retirement savings they have left. It's this person probably isn't going to be able to go to work and build these funds back into their savings. And so this is a very important effect, because this financial destitution can be very scary for older adults. We see individuals who have to become reliant on government safety net programs because of this financial destitution. So, for instance, I had a client who was in her late 70s and she had about $25,000 in retirement savings left. She was scammed out of that $25,000 in total. So what she was doing, the way she would get by was her Social Security check was enough to cover, the rent and the utilities for her living expenses. But she would then go and take maybe 500 out of that money every month to, get medications and food and things of that nature to supplement, maybe her food benefit and just make sure that she had the things that she needed outside of the domicile each month. But however, when that money was taken and gone, she no longer had that option. So she was living on Social Security only at that point, which she had to move into subsidized housing. She had to figure out, some other government programs because she didn't have those savings to supplement that Social Security income anymore. And then we also have people, they lose all of their money and then they, age and they have long-term care needs and possibly don't have insurance for long-term care and can't pay for those needs. And then also we see people to lose their primary residence if they're victims of real estate scams or things of that nature. So I do want to talk about some scams. So I don't go over every scam and say this can happen and that's a scam, this can happen and that's a scam. But I do want to talk about the 10 most costly scams for older adults. And this is from the AARP. This was done in 2020. And so this isn't the scams that were reported most. These are the scams that happened that cost older adults the most money. So the number one, and this really goes with what we know about more people being online, looking for companionship, probably turning to online dating, the romance scams. Number one, $83.7 million was lost of individuals 55 and older in 2020 due to romance scams. So someone getting really close to the older adult. It usually happens online, but I warn people that a romance scam doesn't only have to be someone that you meet online. It could be someone that you meet in person as well. And they get really close. They profess their undying love or friendship. And then they proceed to always need something, always need help with something, have an investment opportunity that they can make someone money with. And they get the money and then, the relationship is over and the person never hears from them again. So definitely watch out for people who are, new love interests or new friends. And I'm not saying you can't form new relationships later in life. But what I'm saying is watch out when they want to start talking about money or always need financial assistance or always have ideas of what you can do with your money. The next one that older adults lost a significant amount of money to is the imposter scam. People coming to older adults, whether it's contacting them over the phone, through email, as government officials, and telling them they owe money. And if you don't pay this money, you're going to have a tax lien or you're going to go to jail. The most popular one was the IRS scam, people calling up saying that people owe the IRS, money for back taxes, and you need to pay this money immediately. A few things with this one, people lost $61 million to this in 2020. And what you want to look for in with these are you want to look for individuals calling and demanding that you pay money right away. Usually when a government agency is trying to contact you about owing money, they're going to send a letter. There's not going to be an immediate need for payment. They're usually willing to set up a payment plan with you or work out some type of agreement where they can get the money over a period of time. And then there's also always the opportunity to appeal these decisions and have go through a process. So there's not like what scammers do is, and this is in most things, they make things urgent. Like they need you to urgently, it's urgent. It's an urgent matter. You need to pay right now. Hurry up and pay. Send us the money, and they'll ask you to, Western Union the money, or send it by get a gift card and give them the numbers off. So just watch out for those tactics and listen for that. The number 3 is sweepstakes and lotteries. Someone contacts and says someone wants a sweepstake or a lottery, and they need to pay a certain amount of money up front in order to claim those prizes. $51.4 million 2020 lost to sweepstakes and lottery scams. And so what you want to watch out for is, again, people requesting money, for especially for sweepstakes and lotteries, requesting that you pay taxes and fees up front. I don't know if anyone here has ever won the lottery or hit the lottery, but just be aware that you shouldn't have to pay money up front to collect the prize. If you've won $20,000 and there's a $5,000 fees and taxes, tell them to take it out, give you the 15, and you'll be fine. Beware of people asking you to pay money up front to claim prizes. And then there's imposter business scams, $34.3 million. And that's just like the imposter government scam. But instead of acting like a government agency, they're calling you up as a business. So sometimes they say they're the utility company. Sometimes they will say they're a business that you had a contract with in the past, that you owe money, and they're going to put it on your credit. What you want to know about these is really investigate. And so if you ever get a phone call or something like that, you want to be aware of using the numbers that they provide. So if someone calls up and says they're from DTE and you owe them $600, and if you don't pay, your utilities are going to be cut off. The best response to that is saying, okay, I'll look further into this matter. And you hang up the phone. You don't call the number back that they gave you. You don't call the number back that they called you from. What you do is you call the number to DTE. For example, DTE is, I think it's 800-477-4747. If they say they're from the bank, find a bank statement or your bank card will do, and get the number off the back of there and call it. They say they're from the doctor's office, so forth, call the number that you have to your doctor's office. Another thing that you can do is, if you don't have a number to that entity, you can always use Google to find the true number to that business to call. Then we have $25.4 million in investment scams. Really watch out for investments that seem too good to be true. I tell everyone with investments, if they're rushing you to invest your money, it's probably a scam. Beware. Always check out new investments with FINRA. And then also try to use trusted advisors. If you have an advisor who you've been working with for 25 or 30 years that you trust, that's always done right by you, and someone comes to you with a new investment opportunity, you probably want to get in touch with that person and ask them, what's going on. But try to use someone trusted. Try to be sure that, if it's someone that you just met and they're saying they have an investment opportunity, they're an advisor, try to, pull their license, look up on FINRA that investment opportunity. Computer tech support scams, $24.1 million in 2020. And this moved up the list because we all were online so much more in 2020. And so you really have to look out for things, those pop-ups or those blue screens or those things saying that you've entered an illegal website, or you have a virus and click here to download this, or let us on your computer and we can help you and remove the viruses and do these things. Beware of those things coming up on your computer. If you think something is wrong with your computer, never use the links that's provided in the pop-up telling you that something is wrong. The best thing that I can do is say that on your computer, if you kept your paperwork, there should be a number for Microsoft or Apple support. Call that number. Even if the pop-up says they're Microsoft or Apple support, don't trust it. Or use Geek Squad or Micro Center. They're trusted. and they're better able to, assist you. With these tech support scams, people are paying people hundreds of dollars to remove viruses that they put on that the person they're paying has somehow put on their computer, or they're giving people remote access. And so when you give someone remote access, it allows them to get on your computer and go through all of the information on that computer. So passwords, account numbers, and all of those things that could be in your cookies or your cache on your computer could be compromised. So you want to be really careful about that. Then we have timeshare sales at $17.4 million. And these are people selling people timeshares. Just really be careful about timeshares. Sometimes they seem like a good opportunity, especially if you're going to be vacationing. And it's a way to not have to um, purchase fancy, expensive hotel rooms. But really beware, really research these timeshare offers, really go in and look at reviews and what people are saying. Some things that we see is that people, buy into these and they can't really use them, or they age to a place where they're not traveling as much, and it's very hard to get out of these timeshare sales. Um, Imposter friends and family. So we talked about imposter government, imposter business, and people do approach people as friends and family. So you may get an email saying that a friend or a family member, someone saying that they're a friend or a family member who's in trouble in another country and they need your support. And could you send them, so much money because they've lost their passport? Or you may get a phone call of someone claiming to be a grandchild or be a friend or family member in need of your help and support. Really beware of those. Something that I tell people is always contact that person if you think there's an issue. What you want to do is pull out the contact information you have for that person and try to contact them. If you can't get in trust with that person, contact another friend or family member that knows that person and would know if something is going on. So I know we all want to help our friends and family members, but something that you should definitely do is verify that you're helping who you think you're helping, and never send money to strangers. So a lot of times it will look like, I'm in trouble, I'm in jail, and could you send money to my friend John Smith so that he can bail me out? Never send money to someone you don't know, okay? Um, just really beware of that. Online shopping, we're seeing a lot of people being taken advantage of through online shopping, in the tune of $14.2 million in 2020. So I'm not against online shopping. I actually love online shopping. It's not a bad thing. But you really, really want to be careful when you are participating in online shopping. So a few things is, when you're doing online shopping, be sure that you are using personal secured internet. You should not be going to Starbucks, getting on public Wi-Fi, doing online shopping, because you're going to be putting in credit card or other information to make those purchases, and that information could be intercepted. And so someone could get financial information to make more charges. Also, you want to make sure that you're using trusted websites. So you want to look for it for trusted retailers. You want to look for, for instance, if you're online shopping and you're using Macy's, Walmart, Target, those are stores that we all recognize. But sometimes you may be on the internet, you may be on Facebook, you may be on Instagram or some social media platform, and you see an ad for, something that retails for $50 being sold for $6.99 by whogatit.com. That's probably a fake website, and they're probably going to take your money and have your financial information, and you're not going to get your merchandise. And then you also want to make sure when you are online and you're entering your personal information, when you get to the part where you're actually doing the transaction, you want to make sure in your address bar after that HTTP, you want to make sure that you see the S. You want to make sure that S means that you're on a secured site. So even if you are on Macy's, Nordstrom's, wherever you are, you want to make sure that that address is preceded by HTTPS when you get to the place where you're entering your financial information to make the transaction. And then there's also timeshare resales, $12.5 million. And so what we were seeing was people who get caught up in these timeshares that they can't use, they don't want anymore, and they're trying to get out of them. And so if you if you get caught up and you can't get out, people are recognizing this and they're offering to resell those timeshares for individuals. Okay, they're offering to get it. They're charging the fee and they're saying, I'm going to resell the timeshare. Well, what happens is these aren't legitimate companies. And what they're doing is they're taking people money and they really don't have any intention or ability to resell those timeshares. So I want to, at this point, take some questions on the scams before we go to the next part of the presentation. And Brenda's going to come back on, and I know there's been some audience questions, so she's going to go through some of the questions. We can't hear you, Brenda. Are you still muted?
Great. We've got some great questions about the scams that you've listed here. This is a lot of information, and this is a lot of money that has been taken out of people's pockets. Sandy would like to know about the technology piece. Can you just cut off your computer? Would that block a scammer?
Sometimes when you see the blue screen, if you shut it off and shut it back on, it will take care of the matter. Sometimes if you've clicked links or went into certain sites or something, they could have downloaded a virus. So shutting it off and turning it back on will not take care of it. You need to, at that point, take it into Micro Center, tech support, Geek Squad, get the Microsoft tech support off of your information that came with your computer, to have that removed. So it just depends on what happened.
Okay, great. So take it to a reputable computer store that is in your community or that comes with your computer package. Always save that printed material that comes with your computer. Sometimes we tend to discard things, but that is something to hold on to because it does have that type of contact information on it. Should you report a potential scam to the police when it happens?
A potential scam. Are you saying should you report if you've been scammed or if someone is trying to scam you?
Potential. If somebody tried, but say you hung up the phone.
They will not take a police report. So the best thing, if you are scammed, then you make a police report. If someone is just trying to scam you, no, they will not take a police report. But you can report those things to the AARP, and it'll go on the scam tracker so other people will know that this is a scam that's happening. And you can report it to the FTC. And what happens is once you report those numbers or those points of contact, a couple of things happen. With AARP, as I said, they put it in the scam tracker. But then the FTC also, you ever get those like pop-ups on your phone that says scam likely or spam or something on your phone? They list those numbers and those points of contact as kind of like bad numbers or email addresses and things. So you could definitely report it if it's potential, but not to the police.
Linda wants to know, what if it's a family member that has been exploiting another family member? What do you recommend a family do about that?
So definitely get involved. If it's a family member who is serving as a caregiver, it may be a case for Adult Protective Services. If the other person is what do we call it? If the other person is a vulnerable individual, so not only being older, but if the other person has cognition or physical issues that makes them dependent upon someone else who's taking advantage of them, you definitely want to report that to APS. If the other person doesn't, if the person being taken advantage of by the family member doesn't have any of those issues, the family can still get involved, and you want to try to, talk to the person who's being taken advantage of, and try to help them to see what's going on and go over some ways to protect themselves.
Okay, great. We have another question. This one is lengthy. What does an elderly person do that was given fake paperwork and signed a promissory note stating that two people will pay him dollars for his house, and one of the parties is also the notary on the handwritten promissory note to do a quick claim deed, and now they are facing eviction?
So that is a very loaded question. Um, I have a couple of questions. I'm going to give my contact information at the end. I would like that person to contact me because that's so loaded and there's so many ways to go with that. I can't even, I'm trying to hash it out in my brain right now, but I like
Okay.
to dig into that a little more deeper before I go and start throwing things out. It may be something that needs a real estate attorney, but
Mhm.
I'm going to definitely give my contact information, and that person can call me, and I want them to be able to access safe services, and we can see, what we can do. Someone mentioned a legal hotline, but the only thing is a lot of the legal aid doesn't do civil stuff, and this is a civil matter. So but we could possibly connect with them as well. But I would like
Great.
the person to contact me for.
Great. That's very good advice because it was a very full question, but I wanted to put it out there because that is a challenge in many communities. A lot of older adults have problems with real estate. They also have landlord-tenant issues, and so it is directly something that you can work with them with that. So that's very important for us to know. We will post up some of the other contacts that were mentioned at the end of the presentation. So you will have web links to some of the other services that have just recently been shared. I'm going to let you return to this program. This is wonderful information as we move into identity theft. We have a few more minutes left in the program, and we're going to cover some more valuable information. Thank you, LaToya.
So just we talked a lot about scams, and I want to go over some of the red flags that you should be looking for, because even though we talked about those 10 scams, there's so many more out here. And so what I like to tell people are kind of like the red flags to be looking out for. So someone requesting to be paid by gift cards or wire transfers, that's usually the sign of a scam. Someone sending emails asking you for money, beware of that. Especially if it's someone that and have a close relationship with. Chances are, if they needed something, they probably call you up and ask for it. When people request that you keep certain conversations secret from other people, when they ask you not to tell anyone, you definitely want to think of that as a red flag. When you get incoming calls, so when people call you and you pick up that phone and there's someone on the other end, and they're asking you for personal information, whether it's to verify who you are or whatever, that's a red flag. You definitely want to hang up that phone, get off that phone. And if you think there's some truth behind that, as I mentioned earlier, you want to find an independent number to that entity and call them back. um People claiming they need details to process a payment. So someone just calls you up and they says, "Hey, your payment is isn't going through. We need more details to process this payment." That's a red flag. When you get calls with international phone numbers, like I keep getting these calls from like Russia and France, and I don't know anyone in Russia and France. Don't answer those calls. That's a huge red flag, especially if you don't know anyone in those countries that would be calling you. A request, someone may call you up, or you may get involved with someone and they ask you to handle a payment that's for someone else, or receive money on their behalf or the behalf of someone else. That's a red flag. Rushing, a push for urgent action, that hurry up and buy, or hurry up and do this, hurry up and pay. That's a red flag. Someone asking you to deposit a check and send them a portion of the money back, no matter who it is, that's a red flag. Hey, I have this check, and if you can deposit it for me into your bank and send such and such amount back to me, you can keep the rest. That's a red flag. What they're trying to do is get you to cash a fake check and send them your money. An investment that guarantees success. Anything that sounds too good to be true probably is. Those are all red flags that you're probably about to be scammed. We talked a lot about scams, so we do want to cover identity theft. Most people know what identity theft is, and this is just a definition. It's when someone uses your personal information, such as your social security number or other information, to open credit cards and other accounts. So people generally are surprised to know that a person doesn't need a lot of things to steal your identity. The four main things they need, and they need to be correct, are your name, your social security number, your mother's maiden name, and your date of birth. Everything else I can make up, or I can use other information that may not be correct and still get away with identity theft. But with these four things, I need them to be correct. Three of these are really easy to get. So what you really, I say this to say, you really want to make sure you're always protecting your social security number. It's the main piece that's needed for identity theft. Next slide. So these are just some of the warning signs of identity theft. Unexplained withdrawals from accounts, that someone got into your bank account. Your bills don't arrive on time. Sometimes people have gotten into accounts or other things, and they switch things around, and they have the bills, reroute your bills to a different address to make sure that you don't see that they've opened up a new DTE account in your name. And so now that's added onto your bill. Merchants start to refuse checks. People have gotten your identity, and they're writing bad checks under your name. Debt collectors call about invalid debts. That's a strong sign of identity theft, when you begin to be contacted about debts that aren't yours. If you put your credit report and see unfamiliar accounts on there, that's for sure identity theft. And if you notice, if someone makes notice that your information was compromised by a data breach, you may not have been the victim of identity theft, but you definitely are at a higher risk at that point. And so you want to take some precautions. This is just a little bit about, you always wondered, like, how did these people get my information? These are a few ways. And so skimming, I put as number one. If you notice, I have like a little ATM machine on there. This can happen at ATMs. This can happen at gas stations. This can happen anywhere where there's a point of sale transaction. I always tell people, be careful where you're using your cards. So people are putting skimmers over the place where you put your card in. And when you put your card in to complete the transaction, while it's reading to complete the transaction, it's also reading to submit your information to a scammer or identity thief or someone who's looking to get into your account. And so you really want to be careful. I frequently tell people, try to use ATMs that are attached to banks. The ones that are freestanding are a little bit more vulnerable to being compromised. If you are the type of person that pays at the pump, try to use the pump as close to the attendant window as possible, because there's someone at a gas station 24-hour, so they're going to see that you they're going to see if someone tried to put a skimmer on that machine. Then there's also the theft of wallets and purses. Be careful what you're carrying in your purse, because if you're carrying too much information, if someone steals your purse, then they can have that personal information and use it for identity theft. People also do mailbox theft, because we get a lot of things in our mail. So make sure if you have a freestanding mailbox, make sure that you're getting your information out every day. I tell people a lot that sometimes a locked mailbox or a door slot is best. But if you don't have that, you want to make sure that you are cleaning out that mailbox daily. Dumpster diving. Be very careful of what you're throwing away. If there are things with your personal information on there, you want to make sure that you are shredding that, or you are destroying it as much as possible before you're putting it into the dumpster. Computer identity theft, we talked about letting people on your computer and how they can access all of your personal information. And then I have employment scams. If you're, someone who is looking for employment, just really beware of where you're applying, and make sure that you're applying to legitimate sources, because we put a lot of information on employment applications. So I just have a few tips for staying safe that I always like to wrap up with. So I always tell people, don't be afraid to say no. If something sounds like something you don't want to do, don't go on and on with someone or let someone attempt to haggle you. Say no and get out of that space as soon as you can. When in doubt, don't give it out. So if someone is trying to get personal information, say, social security number, driver's license number, account numbers, and you're not sure of what's going on, don't give that information out. Um, Ask a family member, a friend, or neighbor for their opinion if you are hearing something that may sound too good to be true. Um, Never send sensitive information in an email. Email is not a secure source of communication. So you shouldn't be sending people account numbers, social security numbers, driver's license numbers, and things like that in emails. It can be compromised. Um, we talked about shredding all documents or destroying documents with personal information before you throw it out. We talked about not leaving mail in your mailbox overnight, or consider getting a locked mailbox. This is very important if you have other people coming into your home. You want to make sure you're locking up your important documents. You want to make sure that, you're storing stuff in a safe deposit box if possible, especially if you have people coming into your home. We talked about not carrying more identification than necessary. You want to make sure you're frequently monitoring your financial accounts for charges that are unfamiliar. Okay, so that's bank accounts, credit card accounts, and things of that nature. You want to be requesting a free copy of your credit report each year. So we all get a free copy of our credit report each year from www.annualcreditreport.com. And you want to be accessing that each year and looking it over, because that's the best way to spot identity theft. Don't let someone rush you into decisions, okay? If you are getting offers, you want to thoroughly research them. So there's FINRA, there's the Security and Exchange Commission. You maybe want to ask a trusted advisor. You just want to make sure that you're checking them out and making sure what's going on. If a contractor is requesting any type of payment upfront, never pay in full upfront. And so I prefer us having a contract and me paying after the work is complete. I don't prefer paying anything upfront, but if someone, needs some payment upfront, sometimes they're not supposed to, unless they need to use that money for materials or subcontractors that they have to pay. They can request upfront, but split it up into three, maybe a third in the beginning and a third in the middle, and the rest when they're done. Never give someone a full payment upfront. Be sure that you're researching contractors thoroughly before you go into any contract. Be sure you're researching that person thoroughly, as far as looking at reviews, Better Business Bureau, making sure they have a business license, insurance, and things of that nature. Next slide. So I mentioned we help older adults with one-on-one services and issues. We can help with filing police and consumer reports, contacting credit reporting agencies, disputing information on credit reports, contacting creditors and closing accounts, placing fraud alerts on credit reports. I put and more. So anything that you call me up and you're having an issue with and you need assistance with, if I can help you with that, I'm going to help you. Let me triage. If you think there's something I can help you with, it's worth calling me up. Um, if it's something that I can't help you with, I have a lot of resources where we can find someone who can. So this is my contact information. So my name is LaToya Hall, and I can be reached at 313-664-2608. And my email address is l.hall@wayne.edu. I want to let you all know that all of our one-on-one services are no cost. You'll never be charged for any safe service. If there are costs associated with mailings and things of that nature, you'll have to assume those costs, but you'll never pay the safe program anything. My contact information is also going to be in the comments. I'm going to skip this one just because we are running out of time. And so thank you so much for taking the time to log in today and go through this presentation with us. Again, this is my contact information, LaToya Hall, 313-664-2608. And my email address, l.hall@wayne.edu. And you can contact me at either one of those methods. And this information will also be in the chat.
Thank you, LaToya. That was wonderful. We do have a few questions. One question was, what about potential fraud or scamming when you're using your wallet credit cards? Like you
So
have, I have all of cards in my wallet phone.
yeah, I have mine in my. Are you talking about like Apple Wallet and things like that?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Like I have Apple Wallet, but I think it's the same tenants. I think it does make it a little more safe because there's another level of protection of going through the Apple Wallet. But
Mhm.
someone could actually hack into your Apple Wallet if they get the proper login information from you. They can hack into the Apple Wallet and use your information. I just think that the same tenets apply. You want to be sure that you're monitoring your transactions on your credit or debit cards or in any of them that you have, not only the ones in your wallet. You want to make sure that you're keeping your login information to yourself and keeping that information as secure as possible and that no one can get it, because that's, how hackers hack in. So you want to make sure that you're not, letting people have remote access to your phone or your computer where you have those things stored. So it's the same tenants.
Okay, good. Good to know. Another comment that I'd like to make, it's something that AARP is constantly promoting, is to be cautious and be careful when you're on your cell phone and you're in a public space and you might be doing business transactions. You might be in an airport, you might be in a restaurant, because we're so attached to our cell phones. We do business and make personal calls in public spaces. And so the caution is to not share your social security number out loud in a public space because you don't know who's listening. Or do not give your driver's license number out loud in a public space. You also don't want to put these two numbers in on a form and put them in the mail, because when they're out of your hands and they're in the mail, they may touch too many other hands and you could potentially become a victim of a scam. So AARP highly encourages you to not put those numbers on a piece of paper and put them in the mail, and to not discuss your personal business identification numbers on a phone in a public space, because you never know who is listening. We are winding up our time. And you mentioned one other thing that I thought was important that AARP is involved in. You talked about shredding documents. I would encourage people who are listening to check our events page, because we would be doing shred days across the states in various communities, and they would be posted on our event page. So this is an opportunity for you to bring your documents and come to an event and have them shredded. So you don't have to worry about going just how you discard them. You can come to these public events and they will be posted on our AARP Michigan event page. Well, do you have any closing comments? Because all of your comments were just fabulous, and I really hope that our audience reaches out to you if they need some one-on-one assistance.
Yeah, so just in closing, SAFE provides free, no cost, one-on-one assistance to individuals who have been victims of financial exploitations or caregivers in need of financial management assistance. My information is across the bottom of the screen. Feel free to contact me. I frequently tell people, don't triage yourself. If you think it's something that I can help you with, just call me up. If I can't, then there's nothing but a failure beats a try, as my grandmother used to say. And if I can't help you, I possibly know someone who can. So feel free to reach out to SAFE. We are here to help you. We want to help you, and we want you to call us. Don't feel like you're going to be bothering us, or give us a call.
That's wonderful. And for our audience, I want you to know that the SAFE program is a program at Wayne State University. It is supported by various stakeholders in the state of Michigan, including the Michigan Health Endowment Fund and the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Victims and Crimes and the Department of Health and Human Services. So the work that they do is reputable and valuable in our community. We want to thank you, Ms. Hall. We really appreciate when you come on and share your valuable information with us. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much for having me.
And now we're just going to share those AARP websites again so that you will have this information. At the beginning, we shared that you can go to aarp.org/tools and you can access calculators that will help you with your net worth, debt consolidation, retirement calculator, and the very important scam tracking map that will help you identify where scams are being conducted in various communities across the country. We really appreciate your time today. We value it, and we hope that you found this program information very helpful. You can see it again on the Facebook page. It will run again. It will continue to be posted, or on the YouTube page. My name is Brenda Price. I am the Associate State Director at AARP Michigan. I appreciate your time. Feel free to give me a call or email if there's anything else I can be of service to you. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.